Good evening YouTube, Abyssful of Goats here, and today we're taking a look at a more fully fleshed out version of Dragon Link. I didn't do much better in the tournament, but this is a much better version of the deck, and I got confidence in it going forward. So let's take a look. 3-star leech Seyfried. I went and tried several of the normal summons in this deck, the Dragon Maid engine, the Red Eyes engine, but ultimately I think this is still the best normal summon for the deck, because it can search most pieces of the deck out, it can combo well with the Bastilles, and it just helps you grind if you can keep your Ravine up. Again, you can try the Red Empty engine because it is a 1-card Romulus or Spheres, or you can try the Dragon Maid engine to get the Trap for some disruption, but I think this is the best normal summon in the deck. And I go on to this Chaos engine, 1 light, 1 dark. 3 Chaos Space, which I borrowed the 3rd at locals, and I'm getting the 3rd for Christmas, hopefully. 1 Legionnaire, and there's the Chaos Engine. So with this, you can play each of these, obviously. These are still really good extenders. And with the 3 Chaos Spaces, they're even better, because you can shuffle, because you can summon, say for example, Black Dragon, link it off, get the white, summon the white, and before you link off the white, you can put the black back in your deck with Chaos Space. So you then reuse it again, and you have it in your hand either for follow-up next turn or for a discard off of Dragon's Ravine. Legionnaire is insane, going first or second. Going first, you can rip a card out of the opponent's hand. Going second, this pops 2 things, so it helps you clear boards from core from game. And I'll say this, with the reprint, if you haven't got them yet, get Chaos Space. I would argue this is the best card in the deck right now, especially with the addition of Bastille Rebellion. This card will search wherever you want, it'll help you draw cards to grind. This card is insane. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And that was the Chaos Engine. Fairly standard. The last part of this deck I actually got today, which is the 2nd Abzu Router. 2 Abzu Routers is much better than 1 because it's if you draw 1 in your hand, you still have 1 turn off of the Dragon Ravine, and if you have a Rocket, you've got a good chance of both normal sending the Rocket, getting this out for an extender, and then you have 1 in the deck for follow-up plays. The rest of the Rockets, 1 Synchron, 1 Caliber, 1 Magna, 2 Tracer. So the Caliber is the one I want to talk about the most here. These are fairly standard, but with Caliber, I like this card because it can actually unbrick your hand. You can, if you have a card in your hand you can't get out the traditional way, you can just summon this, and then you sack it and bring it out. So if you wanted to, you could actually play more normal summons in this deck, like Red Eyes, for example. I will say, there are times I do wish I had the other one instead of this, because I think only 1 non-tuner can be a problem if you draw the Magna Rocket. So I might put in the other one, forget its name, the red one, which is going on under defense. But yeah, that was the Rocket engine with, of course, and the spells for that engine, triple quick launch, 1 boot sector, standard. Also, the fact that this is not once per turn is insane in this deck. There's a game I played where I opened up 2 of these, and it made my comboing so much easier. I managed to get into the rank 5, so the Link 5, sorry, and wiped their entire board. It was unfortunately Despia, so they came back next turn and kicked my ass anyway. But hey, what are you going to do? Something I still like in this deck is Noctivision. It chain blocks with your links. It's a draw. You can get off a Starlight Seyfried. And especially with the extra Abzu Router now, it's easier than ever to get out. So yeah, this is still a really good card. I do recommend still playing it. The Bastilles haven't changed. It's still 3 Rebellion, 3 Magnamut, 3 Drosworm, and 1 Serenia. And we have 1 of each of the branded cards for the spells and traps. I think this is the perfect amount. But I will also say this about this engine. It's the most powerful engine in the deck. It's also the reason this deck loses a lot of its games. Because there's 2 games I lost today was against non-dark and light decks, and I had a hand full of these and not much else. So yeah, basically if you're playing this engine Dragon Link, which you likely will be, you're sacrificing consistency for power. Because if these do go off, they'll extend your plays, they'll give you pops, they'll give you searches. But if you play against, say, like I did today, a water deck, and you open up with a few of these, you could be in a lot of trouble. That being said, I still think this engine is worth playing. On Dragon's Ravine, it's the card you get for Romulus, obviously. And like I said in the last video, with Lubellion and Safe Rate, if you can keep this on the field, or if you make your players without having to play it, you have an amazing grind game where you can keep recycling your Lubellion to get your trap, to get your more Bastilles in your hand. This card is crazy. Hand traps, Ash Blossom, Ciphering Package. These are the best hand traps in there, I think. You could cut this out for Veiler or Droll if you wanted to, but I like this going second. It stops pretty much anything. Yeah, that's where I gotta sit with this. Droll and Lockbird and Veiler are also pretty good if you want to try those out, but this is just the engine I personally prefer. Moving on to the extra deck. This is literally not changed from the last one, I don't think. Let's see, Striker, Pisty for the Link 1s. Striker, best starter, gets us the boot sector launch. Pisty is how we get into the Link 5. Link 2, Double Sphere, 1 IP, 1 Romulus, 1 Drillindrous Dragon, and 1 Quad Barrel Dragon. Again, not changed here. You put the 2 Spears because it's the best card to get in the grind game. And going first is an interruption, and follow-up turns, it's a way to get more cards out of your deck. Most notably Magnamuts, that can then fill up your hand and help you grind for the late game, which you will need against a lot of the decks right now, because most of the top decks, like Tier Elements, Branded, Sprite, they don't really make big boards, they just grind you to the dust, pretty much. This is still one of the best cards in the deck. Gives you Unicorn access, gives you Negate access with Appaloosa. You can also use this if you use the spheres and you don't want to keep the 0-point monster on the board. You can link it off with this to go into a Unicorn for an extra piece of disruption. Just gets you the Ravine, you know this. Part of the combo with Pisty, and again part of the Rocket combo. For our Link 3s. Unicorn, BLS. A Spin with IP. This is one of our best disruption in the deck. And I made this actually one of the games I won. It can just clear boards. This is pretty much the original BLS on steroids. And with so many different names you can get in this deck, it's really easy to make. If you don't have the material to go into the Link 5 going second, then this is your best bet. Appaloosa, Borrelsword for the Link 4s. Again, I should be playing Access Code, but I don't have it yet. This is still a really good board breaker, and it can OTK still like it ever did. This 2 or 3 negates, which when you put up with like a bounce or an IP and a Druid's Whim pop possibly, makes a really difficult board to outgoing first. And for the Link 5, of course, Boral End Dragon, best card in this deck. It does pretty much everything you want it to do. It can be destroyed or targeted. It can attack every monster on the field. It's a negate and a revival card in one effect. This card being a Link 5 was supposed to be a way to make this level power acceptable, but in this deck it's so easy to get out that it just makes this card super unfair. Amazing card. Finally, Borrowed Savage Dragon. It's another negate. Not much else to say about that. Actually, one thing I will say is, if you don't get this out in the first turn, you may have a larger Link monster in your graveyard you can put under it, and you can actually beat him for a lot of damage. And finally, Atum. You make it with the Bastilles. It is a extender because you can get any dragon in the deck. The dragon's points are 0, but who cares? It's not going to stay on the board for long. You're probably going to get maybe a Magnum for a search. If you haven't already played it, it's always safe for it. You get the idea. And that was the main and extra deck. Let's go on to the side. We've got something to talk about this time. Start off with DD Crow. This is for 2 elements or heavy graveyard decks where the Bastilles might not be enough. Droll and Lock. This was an MVP today. My first game was against Fluffles, and This shut him down more than D-Barrier, surprisingly, with my cards that can draw. I think this is one of the best hand traps, and I might consider putting it in the main at some point. My favourite side deck card, D-Barrier. You know what this is by now. My meta is full of fusion decks like Branded, Fluffles, there's Xyz with the sprites. This card is still one of the best cards that comes in most games. And I swear to God, this card was flipping cursed today. Because both the games I sideboarded against, which was Branded and Fluffles, I'm going to just show you what my opening hands were for both of them. That was my opening hand, game 2 against Fluffles. He made no plays with Darks after I flipped the D barrier, so this was dead in my hand. I can only use one of his plays, and eventually he just made Toad Bahamut and just destroyed me. Game 2 against the Branded matchup, it was 2 of these and 2 of these with one dragon. I think it might have been this. I can't remember for sure. And my next draw was another hand trap. So literally all I could do was go into Striker Dragon. Yes, I did have this, but he just beat me down with his big Despias, so it didn't make a difference. Yeah, this card was cursed today. Dark Ruler no more. If I'm forced to go second, this can break a board of like 2 elements, Sprite rather. You get the idea. This is still the best going second card, I think, in my opinion. Maybe also Lightning Storm could be an option instead of this, but I like to break the board with my own monsters. And the last couple of spots are actually kind of flexible, as you can either play backward removal like this, which I did do today, but in going forward, I think I said I'd play 2 Forbidden Droplets. The backward removal did come up. I did pop a couple of things, but overall, I think Droplets has more of a plus. You can send things like Saferet to the grave for their effects, and you can this basically 2 more copies of Dark Ruler no more often with the boards people make these days. Again, it's completely dependent on the situation, and either or is a good choice. But yeah, that's the so basically what you want to do, you either want to go Harpies, Double Twister, or Harpies, Double Droplet, whichever is better for your meta. Or just Triple Droplet if you have 3 droplets. And that's all of the deck. However, I'm going to do something a little different than I usually do. I'm going to give you guys a brief test hand to give you an idea of what the deck can do going first. Give a good shuffle because I just to sort it all out. Okay, let's test this out. White Dragon Riverbuster, Solid Saferet, Lubellion, Ravine, and an Ash. Okay, this is really good. Okay, so we're going to start things off with the Saferet. We're going to use Saferet. We're going to dump... what are we going to dump here? You know what? I think we're going to dump the Lubellion. We're going to grab ourselves a Chaos Dragon Levianeer. If I can find it. Then we're going to link it off to make Striker Dragon. We're going to use Striker Dragon's effect to add our hand a copy of Bootstick to launch. Then we're going to banish the Salvage Saferet, add the Lubellion back to hand, pitch the Lubellion, and grab us a Magnaheart. Summon Magnaheart by banishing the Lubellion. Magnaheart, add a copy of Druid's Worm at the end phase. From this point, we're going to link these 2 off, and we're going to make ourselves. We already have Dragon Ravine, so instead we're going to go right into a Heavenly Spheres. From this point, we're going to summon out a White Dragon Wyvern Buster off of a bash of Magnemite. This is going to allow us to... Okay, then we're going to Ravine. We can't play this right now, so we're just going to pitch this off to send Abzorouter. Abzorouter will add a Tracer. Then we're going to boot out Tracer. And here we have a couple of options here. We could either pop the boot sector to get Magna Rocket and go into Striker Dragon and go into Borreload Dragon, or we could pop the White Dragon to get Magna Rocket, add the Black Dragon to our hand, and do the play. And then we have access to Black Dragon for our next turn. We have... Okay, I'll show you both ways. So say we pop the sector here. We're going to grab ourselves a Magna Rocket. We're going to link into a copy of Savage Dragon and equip Striker Dragon because we didn't go into Romulus this time. So that's... So that way we have an extra body on the field. Actually, one thing, this is not actually an ideal position. The better play would be to go back a second. So we Tracer, pop this. Get us a Magna Rocket again. White to add black. So we got that in our hand. Then we can go into the dragon. Yeah, that's actually the same play, much better. I don't know what I was thinking there. So, and then we end step add Bestial Druisworm to our hand. And from here we can either end here, get a bounce and a gate and a potential pop. Or if you want to, you could go. No, you could go. That's what you can do. However, what you could do here next turn. Next time we do a follow up, we draw a card, a pad. Let's say our opponent has gotten through our board somehow. Okay, so they've probably got at least 1 or 2 monsters on the field. So which means we can then use Boot Sector to get back these possibly. Then with this, we can summon this out. We can summon this out because we have Abzorouter, we have 2 rockets. Banish a light or a dark. Summon out Druisworm. And boom! We send these 5 to the grave. Make Borrowland. And boom! We just wipe their entire... We can wipe most of their board off the face of the earth likely with this. And we still have an Ash for follow-up. And a Boot Sector. Along with Borderlands effects to keep recycling our rockets. So that's what the deck can do, guys. You've probably seen this out of the channel for a while because I do want to take a break and play some other decks. Next big restricted video should be this week if I can get it done on time, which will be a GOAT guide, hopefully on Pac-Man. Until then, see you guys in the future. So.